Hello, this is Julie. I'd like to show you how to use the Pazzles InVue software to make a rhinestone template of a shape. So first I'm going to go to the gallery and sign in with my username and password so that I can take a look at my gallery. I'm going to grab a shape from the Pazzles craft room that I've purchased in the past or downloaded in the past using my Pazzles craft room membership, and I'm looking for a heart design. And there are many hearts that'll show up in this folder at the top of the craft room. And there are a number of different kinds of shapes that we can use. I'm going to show you a more complex shape so that you know that this template will work with complex shapes as well as simple shapes. So I'm looking for a specific heart that has inside shapes so you can see how that works. So you can see there's all kinds of hearts available for all of your special Valentines or weddings, anniversaries, special projects. Tons of available stuff. So this is the one that I'd like to use. So I'll click on the arrow here, and then also I may want to use this one and this one to show you a few different techniques. I didn't need this other thing here, so I'll just delete it. Now we can make large templates for rhinestones, or we can make them small. I'll show you this one first. I'll make it kind of big so you can see the kind of detail that we can fit into this. What I have here is a grouped shape. I don't need to ungroup it in order to fill it with rhinestones. The first thing I'm going to do is go to the right where the line type menu is, and next to cut, click on the down arrow and select rhinestone. This automatically gives me some rhinestones on the path lines or the cut lines, and in the 20 stone size. My rhinestones are 10 SS, and I like to make my holes a little larger than the rhinestones themselves so they'll fall into my template easily. So I'm going to click 12 SS, and there is a path spacing set at 0.14, which looks okay, but I like my stones to be a little closer, so I'm going to reduce the spacing a bit until I get kind of a look that I like. I like them pretty close together to give my design some definition. I have it set now at 0.07, and that looks fine, so I'll click away from that. And that looks pretty good, but if I want to fill in some of these spaces with more rhinestones, I can click on Fill Options. I do need to select it first, click on the Fill, and then you'll notice that there's still pieces that are cut out. Those don't fill with rhinestones, but the solid portions do, which is what I want. I'd kind of like to have them closer together again like I did the outside. So I'll click on the options over here. I can set a margin that gives me a little distance from the lines, the outside lines, to the inside shapes, but I really don't need to make that any margin in this one. I do want to change the spacing though to make them closer together so I can fit more rhinestones in there. And I want to change the line spacing that would make the rows a little closer together. I take it down to maybe 8 or 9. It depends on the size of your design as to how many you can really fit in there. I like to fill it as much as I can without having the circles overlap. You can also offset the even rows to distribute them more evenly, which I like to do most of the time. And that looks pretty good. Now, if you don't like it, you can always come back and change it. You can change the size, you can change the spacing. If you need to add a few stones here and there, you can. But if I click away, that looks pretty good. When I go to cut this, it will cut holes in my template material everywhere where there's a dot here. Well, let's say I want to add another little dot right there because it's got a space that I don't want. I can add a dot by clicking on the connected line and clicking on the line segment at the top and clicking on my mat and dragging slightly to the right. It gives me another hole. Now I'll just use Shift and my arrow key to move that little circle into the template where I want it to be. If I don't like where it is, I can move it some more. I can add some more too if I wanted to. So it's easy to add. You can't really change the fill once it's done except to add. You can add lines and the rhinestone circles will go there automatically. And I don't see any that are overlapping. You want to watch to make sure your circles are not overlapping and that it looks the way you want. And once it's correct, then you can move on. Now what I'm going to do here is change the size. Maybe I don't want it quite so big. You notice that as you resize the design that the stones don't change their size, which is kind of nice. The design just fills in more stones the larger it gets. I do see one place down here that I'd kind of like to have an extra stone at the point there. I'll show you again. Just click and drag slightly to give myself an extra stone there and use my shift and right arrow. I'll move that stone into place. It's as simple as that. So I can save that as my rhinestone heart and I can use that next time I would like to have a rhinestone project on a special gift. Now we can also do the same thing. I'm going to join these, group them by clicking on that blue X so that the single dots don't go astray. And let's try this one. I'll show you how we can do different fill patterns. Oh, let's do this one. I'll make it kind of big so you can see. Again, I've got the shape selected. I'm going to click on the rhinestone, select my stone size. I'll do 12 on this one and change the spacing on the path so they're closer because I like closer. I watch the points to see that there's a rhinestone there. And if I don't exactly like it that way, I can always change the size a little bit. Sometimes that'll distribute them better. But even when you have a design like this, you can fill in the empty spaces if you need to later. So now what I want to do is do a fill. And right now it's kind of a line fill. Everything's nice and orderly in a line. If I want to offset the even rows, it gives me a little more variety in the way it looks. But I can change that line spacing to get some pretty interesting effects. I'm just going to watch it as I change this sizing. It can get very interesting. And when you have the offset there, you can get some kind of nice zigzag type arrangements. I like this with it kind of shows up like diamonds. You can add a margin so that the inner pieces are slightly away from the outside lines. You notice every click changes the look of that design. So when you find something that you like, I like this, looks like little diamond patterns in there. Once you find what you like, then you can edit it more if you want. Right here, I think what I'd like to do is break this design right at the point. And when I do, I think you'll notice that these circles are distributed a little more evenly. I can also break the point at the top using the third pair of scissors and clicking on that line. And when I do it, it more evenly distributes without me really having to do a great deal. It also gives me the option of moving that line if I need to, and then I have a nice even line around the outside. I might want to add an inside dot there. So just using my segment tool, I get an extra dot there, I can put it in. And it doesn't matter what Rhinestone software you are using. Most of the time, it's going to take some time to edit designs to make them the way you want them. I can use Control D to duplicate, then move that duplicate over to an area that maybe needs another dot. And I especially like not having to do too much editing, so the automatic features in this Rhinestone software is pretty nice. So I've got this one all done. I can group it so that those pieces all stay together, and I'll show you a different technique on this heart. I like to do sometimes an island fill, and to get an island fill, that is to go around the edges of the design until it gets really small, I select the design and do an inline. So at the top menu here, I'll click on inline, and I'll use, I think mitered will give me the look that I want. You can try the different joins. There's bevel, miter, and I want to make a room in between each of the extra layers that I add so that there's room for the rhinestones not to bump into each other. And I can select how many inlines I want. So I've got 10 of them with the size that I have, and then I'll click on that check mark to accept that. Now I can select this, and I can go to again to my rhinestones, select the size, and again I'll take the 12 stone size, and I can move them closer, but you know, they look pretty good like that already. You can see those lines kind of form a nice pattern, which I like. If I want to, I could add more in individual rhinestones, or I could even draw a path in there to see what it might look like. As I draw the path, the rhinestones are automatically added. I could draw another path in here, And another one here, those are in the blank spots. So I could take or leave that. I'm not sure if I even like them. I can undo. Oops, let's redo it again. So I can add individual little dots using Shift and my arrow keys. I can just fill in a few, duplicate, so you can see that there's a lot of creative options. You can fill shapes, any kind of shape that you'd like to fill. You can vary the spacing, vary the size and the patterns. You could even do different colors if you wanted to. So I hope this helps you with your rhinestone designing. I look forward to seeing some of those projects that you make. So we'll save this once we have it the way we want it. We'll save this as rhinestone hearts. And thank you for watching.